Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, we meet again. My name is Arjen Lemay, also known as the Artrix, and you're watching the Artrix Art and Vlog Show, episode number 3. And here's your obligatory timestamp. Today is the 15th of May 2013. I have been rather busy in the past few months, so I haven't really done any high effort pieces in, the aforementioned time period. So that might explain the lack of any new episodes. But, you know, since I'm that one guy that does the humanized ponies like all the time, and since this is the internet, I should note that I'm strictly talking about drawing them. I feel obliged to post this here video since Hasbro decided to post a trailer for the upcoming movie that's gonna be in theaters called Equestria Girls. That's right. It was supposed to be a series, and I think it still is, but for now we're going to have to deal with this movie that's basically gonna set the stage for this other franchise based on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. But before we get into that, let's talk about, the artwork, hence the name Art and Vlog Show. So, yeah, since I haven't really been doing any effort pieces lately, I basically took some footage that was lying around on my hard drive and strung it together into what can be considered a new episode. So yeah, this is the perfect excuse to basically do that. The footage you're seeing primarily consists of me doing anatomy studies and then turning those anatomy studies into humanized ponies. Because hey, ever drawn humans? Then let's turn them into humanized ponies, right? And I did this for all of the main cast actually. There's Twilight doing a lead hexer magic spell, Pinkie Pie doing a quick turnaround as seen in many platforming games, Fluttershy doing a generic jump, the drawing that started it all, a Rainbow Dash landing after performing a high jump, and the two seen in this here episode, which are Applejack and her trusty shotgun, and Rarity being all sneaky and shit. There's also some other assorted crap in there, like this here drawing of... It was actually the first concept art for Chrysalis, humanized of course, because that's all I ever do. And there was a pretty preliminary sketch of a humanized Luna that didn't go anywhere. So yeah, it's in there, I don't even think it can be considered to be concept art even. And speaking of Luna, I actually did that during an attempted dual stream I was going to do with my buddy Wessel, who also goes by the name of DJ Disorder or Disorder Media or DJ Disorder XX1994Z. The basic idea was that we would stream from the same physical room. That's nice and all, but we ran into some technical difficulties and it was just plain cumbersome. Lesson learned, doing a multi-stream from the same room is pointless. At one point you'll also see a whole bunch of traffic signs appear. That's because me and one of the co-hosts were discussing the intricacies of different traffic signs amongst nations, because I'm a huge traffic sign nerd. So as you might have guessed, there's not really a coherent point to this whole stream. It's just a bunch of random clips strung together to give you the illusion of something interesting going on. Except there is something interesting going on, I hope at least. But the main features, without doubt, are the Shotgun Applejack and Sneakin Rarity. Of course, all the links are in the video description, so don't be a dumbass and click those if you're interested. First we'll talk about Shotgun Applejack, because, you know, people like shotguns and they like Southern girls, and hence you got Applejack, because it makes sense somehow. In the deviation page I clearly stated that I didn't pay any attention whatsoever to the intricate details of the shotgun. In fact, I did it all by memory. And it fucking shows. There are so many basic mistakes in there that it's frankly kind of embarrassing. So basically, next time I do something involving a gun, look up the gun. And I would consider myself to be kind of a gun nerd, not that extremely, but I do like the subject of, you know, the different kinds of guns. It sort of reminds me of the way computers work and the specs involved and what have you. Also, someone pointed out to me that the pose for Applejack is not optimal for using a shotgun, which is a bit more of a concern compared to the actual shotgun, since that was the whole point of the exercise. But on the other hand, that is the whole point of an exercise, to be able to make mistakes and learn from them. So I suppose, yeah, the exercise served its purpose here. That and the picture actually got a fair amount of praise for, well, essentially being Applejack with a shotgun, because people sure do like that. I'm not going to bother trying to sound like a southern person, because I suck at it. Then there's Rarity, and she's sneaking around, whatever this is sneaking around of. This is one of those drawings that looks wicked cool, awesome when you're in that rigging stage and you're just doing the anatomy and nothing else, but the execution, as in, you know, the facial expression and whatnot, has been criticized to death. Or not, but a lot of people don't seem to like it. And I sort of have to agree with them. I always had a bit of trouble getting the face for Rarity right. It's quite a peculiar face, and it's in a way it's very different from the other ponies. And since he is supposed to be this symbol for femininity and beauty and what have you, I suppose it's even worse. That, and it probably looks like she's in her 40s here. In that respect, I like to see my humanized ponies to be like the humanized ponies, what they would be if they were like actual adults and not this teenage alternative universe thing that they got going on with Equestria Girls. But here I go and digress again. And I know I can draw appealing rarities. I mean, the rarity I draw in Friendship is Survival is one of my most liked rarities I've ever drawn. And I find her depiction there appealing as well. So it shouldn't be too hard. It's just finding that sweet spot that, you know, it's unique, but it's also, you know, something that people will like. And I can already hear some people say, Artrix, you shouldn't draw just to become popular and you shouldn't listen to everyone and what have you. The fact of the matter is that I'm often quoted as being that artist with a unique art style rather than, you know, appealing to mainstream norms. If I just want to be popular, I would just draw things that are sexy and Rule 34 and generic same face. No, thank you very much. With that said, here's a little preview of what's to come. Exclusive, here on the Artrix Iron Vlog Show. So keep your ears open because I'm going to tell you right now. My next effort piece or medium effort piece I haven't quite decided on yet. But my next piece is gonna be about Rarity and Sweetie Belle. Humanized, of course, if you haven't figured that out yet. The basic premise is that one of them, probably Rarity, has gotten their hands on a chick flick and they're watching it together, and Sweetie Belle's all confused because, Rarity, why are you crying? I don't get it. Stop crying, you're making me sad. It might actually turn out a little bit fan servicey because they're in their pajamas and what have you, though. If you're thinking this about Sweetie Belle, then seriously, go get help right now. And with that said, let's move on to the next part. And remember, all the links are down in the description. So once again, don't be a dumbass. Don't go into the comments and ask about where's this and where's that. Just go down there, there's all the links. And without further ado, let's go on to the next part of the show. As most of you know, a lot has happened in the past few months when it comes to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Primarily the whole twilicorn thing at the end of, in the season finale of season 3. Yeah, I already gave you my thoughts on that one, though I must add that the whole thing, there's been enough time for me to sort of absorb what happened. And from what I've seen, it looks like they're sort of going to downplay the whole princess thing to make room for, you know, what actually made the show good. So yeah, we're still not really in the position to really judge beforehand what's gonna happen in season 4. There's still a lot of room to really make this whole thing work. Personally, I think season 4 is most likely going to be the last season of My Little Pony. I doubt they can stretch this any further without really suffering in quality. I'd rather see the show end at a good note rather than what happened with season 3, to be honest. So let's hope that season 4 is gonna be that season that really leaves everyone satisfied rather than one that either sets the stage for milking the franchise to death or leaves a sour taste in our mouth, so to speak. But that's neither here or there. This particular episode is about Equestria Girls, so let's dive right into it. For real this time. So, as it turns out, the movie's actually gonna look like the very first concept art that was released. I think it was about a year ago, actually. So it does mean that it's gonna have like the odd skin color, but that's basically it. And that kind of took me by surprise when I saw the trailer and in concept of, the show and, the established art style and what have you. It actually kind of makes sense. No, I'm not saying that it's the best thing since sliced bread. Sure, it looks a bit weird. I mean, they got the odd skin color and, every single character is wearing a skirt, including Applejack. I mean, Applejack doesn't wear a skirt, come on. But for some reason they did. I guess it has something to do with the way they want to animate this whole thing. That might explain it. They also gave Rainbow Dash a skirt, which is somehow, with the whole design of the skirt, it kind of makes sense, but still, like, come on. The Rainbow Dash skirt, it sort of doesn't go together, if you ask me. But generally, on the visual department, it looks like Equestria Girls is gonna be alright. I mean, it looks like an extension of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic universe. Aesthetically, it matches the show. And this is important because we've seen the alternative. We've seen the concept art from the New York Post, in which they had the goddamn pony ears, the makeshift ponytails, and even the frickin' cutie marks on their face. It truly was an instance where it was very appropriate to say, "What's wrong with your face?" So yeah, I'm not saying that Equestria Girls is the best thing visually, I'm not saying that this is the best thing they could have done it, but at least they are consistent and at least they went to designs that actually make a little bit of sense. And to be honest, I don't think we have to worry a lot about the whole visual aspect of the show, especially since we've seen the alternative. So what we are left with is, okay, what is this show gonna be about? Or what's the movie gonna be about? It's not a show yet, we don't know anything about the show to be honest, but we do know what the movie is gonna be in the broad stroke of things. And unfortunately it looks like it's gonna be the same high school slog we've seen only a billion times before, and we still have to see what exactly they're gonna do with it, but from what we've heard so far, the basic premise is Twilight loses some sort of crown jewel thing, or let's just call it the MacGuffin for the sake of clarity. So he loses a MacGuffin, he needs to go into this alternative universe to retrieve the MacGuffin and make a bunch of friends in the process with her new lead Haxor friend-making skills, apparently. Of course, it's gonna have all the wonderful cliches, like the school prom, and there's gonna be the mean, preppy, popular girl, and of course, all the other tropes that you've probably been familiar with from such marvelous shows as As Told by Ginger, and Braceface, and every show on Nickelodeon ever. Of course, it wouldn't be teenage domestic life in a modern industrialized nation, the movie, without a love interest. That's right, your pony waifu is going to have a love interest, currently dubbed as Brad. We don't know anything about Brad except that he's probably a vague allusion to the Twilight series, and he probably has a pony counterpart waiting for an Equestria to shatter all your hopes and dreams. And this is the main problem of the whole ordeal. The existence of this movie and presumably the show in the future, it's not my problem. Like, if this was just a separate thing, sure, do whatever the hell you want, but thing is that this show is inherently tied to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which has a certain charm to it that a lot of people have accustomed to, and now you're going to mix this with this whole high school drama bullshit thing. This was a big mistake of Hasbro. I'm not sure if they realize it. There is the intended demographic, which is of course little girls, but let's be honest, they've been with this franchise for about, I don't know, 4 years now, and they might have grown to that phase where they actually start to, you know, like the sort of thing. On one hand, it's a nice way to keep things like romance or what have you out of the pony show. And I think a lot of people actually appreciate that. It's one of the things that, you know, people don't like to talk about. On the other hand, I don't get the link. Why did these two franchises need to be linked together? I mean, if they were like, they're two separate entities, like there's no real connection between the two worlds, so to speak, you could have just done whatever the hell you wanted with the whole Equestria Girls thing, and no one would have cared. It could have had any rating. They could have had all the goddamn romance and love triangles and love octagons and other schematics of relationships in there. They could have had goddamn orgies in there if they wanted to. They could have done whatever the hell they wanted and no one would care. But they can't, because it's all one thing now, and everything they do is gonna have an effect on the main show. And with that, I'm going to end this here episode of the Artrix Arden Vlog Show. I hope you liked it, and I hope you gotten something out of it, even if it's just the smallest bit of information or it's childish amusement. Also, did you know that there's a nifty feature on YouTube that allows you to subscribe to people? You should try it out right now. Click that subscribe button, you get all the newest, coolest... Oh, the hell am I kidding? But seriously, you should subscribe and like the video and put it in your favorites, because then you'll be rich. And that's the end. The end.